Hello, my name is Julie Ann. I am the founder of Influence Publishing and the author of Around the World in 7 Years, A Life-Changing Journey. So what was this life-changing journey that led me to become a book publisher and also a TED speaker with the title, The Gift of Dyslexia? So I have led somewhat of an unconventional life. I left England, which is where I was raised, at the age of 32. Some would say that I did a Shirley Valentine. I decided that I just was not doing what I wanted to do with my life. I had a very good job in marketing and I had a husband. I went to balls every weekend and my husband played golf. And it seemed on the outside like my life was very charmed. And yet I was really not happy. And that was at the age of 32. And so I decided almost overnight to sell everything, to leave my husband, to leave my very successful job, to tell my family that I was leaving England and that I was going to go find myself. So with a friend and just a backpack, I set off for South Africa. And I had never been sailing before, but decided this would be a way that I could go find myself, would be to sail around the world. And so after 4 years from Africa, Madagascar, Tanzania, Kenya, across the Indian Ocean, I lived on a desert island for 3 months, to Thailand, to Malaysia. And at that point, I got off the boat and then went backpacking by myself across Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and eventually decided I should just keep going. And so I ended up in Canada, in Vancouver. Now, when I got to Vancouver, I got on another boat and then I sailed down the coast, Pacific coast, and lived in the Sea of Cortez in Mexico for 2 years. Now, after 7 years traveling like this, I decided that I really needed to decide what I was going to do with my life. And so I decided to settle in Canada, in Vancouver. I was going to find a job in marketing, but instead, I had a lot of people encourage me to write my story about how was I able to travel continuously for 7 years. So that's really what my book is about. And, you know, to give you the short version of that, it's not about having lots of money and it's not about really planning that in terms of, you know, like you would plan a retirement. But for me, it was really more a question of embracing a different lifestyle. So really stepping out of my comfort zone, living a very nomadic lifestyle, and taking lots of risks in terms of, you know, no insurance and no official home, etc. When I decided it was time to settle down, I was encouraged to write a book. Now, I had never written a book before, but I decided I would do lots of research and that then I would take all of my marketing experience. And from that, I would figure out how to write a book. 2 years later, I was helping other people write a book because they were asking me, well, how did you do that? And then that led to me starting Influence Publishing. Now, I quickly learned that the publishing world is not a very friendly place. And as you know, over the last 10 years, that industry has changed really drastically. When I first came into the market, there was no such thing as self-publishing. And the only way that you could publish a book was basically to find a traditional publisher and sell yourself and get a publishing contract, which meant that you were actually signing over, all of your rights to the book. So when I came into the industry, I thought to myself, I really need to find a new way to do this so that people can have all the advantages of traditional publishing, but all of the advantages of self-publishing as well, such as keeping your rights and keeping all of the money. Now, I discovered in this process that all of this out of the box thinking that I was doing and disrupting the normal world of publishing was really because I was actually dyslexic. Now, I didn't know I was dyslexic. I certainly always struggled in school. I was not one of those people that easily got A's or B's or even C's. I actually struggled to even get D's. But I just put that down to me not being as intelligent or not having, I was just somehow different to everybody else that was finding it very easy. But later on, by that time I was actually, I believe I was 50, I discovered that I was dyslexic, because I was actually helping an author who was writing the book about dyslexia. And she said to me, when she saw the way that I was helping her organize and plan out the book, that the way I was thinking was with a dyslexic mind. And so she did a little test, and sure enough, I was actually dyslexic. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of interesting, because here I am, I'm a book publisher. At that time, I'd published around 100 books, probably made about 80 of them bestsellers. And I was still really establishing myself as a publisher in Vancouver that was worthy of doing business with. And so I said to Sue, well, I don't think telling people I'm dyslexic is going to be that good for business as a book publisher. But she said to me, well, maybe you should do exactly that, to help people understand that when you're given these labels, it doesn't need to hold you back from doing anything. You really can live any life that you want to live, even if you have a label, whatever that happens to be. And so that actually led me to do a TED Talk on the topic of the gift of dyslexia. And, that TED Talk has led to so many opportunities and so many doors opening, because I think so many people put lots of obstacles in the way of why they couldn't write a book, or why they couldn't go for that dream job that they wanted to do. And so the TED Talk opened up a lot of doors for me by telling the world about my weaknesses and telling people, yes, I am dyslexic, but that means that I'm able to think in a very different way to the way that everybody else thinks. And, the main thing about that is that the dyslexic brain, along with many other labels, is responsible for very creative, out of the box thinking. Now, many people that might not even know they have dyslexia probably feel that kind of awkwardness, that they feel that they're not so good at the linear stuff. So they may be holding themselves back in terms of careers or career progression, or really stepping into the dream role or the dream job that they really want. And so my TED Talk has now been watched by over 100,000 people. And the feedback I get from people is that I'm giving them permission to do whatever they want to do. You are really capable of doing anything and really living the dream life. Now, as I said before, I am a book publisher. I have now published over 200 books. I have now learned how to do this remotely. And so I'm able to live my dream of living in Mexico right on the ocean. So for the last 3 years, I have been in Puerto Vallarta. I have been running my dream business from my dream home right on the ocean front. And up until fairly recently, I was very much in love with my dream man. And so my whole life looked very, very rosy. And everybody was saying, wow, how do you do that? How do you get to live this amazing dream life? Well, just as I'm beginning to feel that this is an incredible life that I've created with labels such as dyslexia, my fiance passed away. Now, this, of course, was pretty devastating for me because here I am living my dream life with my dream man, and then that's taken away from me. Now, what can you do when you have a great loss like that? When you have something taken away from you that really made your life the dream life that you always dreamed of. Now you can go into a corner and cry and grieve and get angry and ask, why did this happen to me? We've all been through trauma and grief, but it's up to you what you do with that. And what I decided to do with it is to hold on to those precious memories of that wonderful, amazing life that I had with him and be thankful for all of those memories and be thankful for all of the people that we inspired with our love and with our joy. And so now I can leave a legacy for him by continuing that. And so it doesn't really matter what your situation is, whether you have a label, whether you choose to have this crazy nomadic lifestyle, whether you lose a loved one or you have a traumatic event that appears to steal the life that you have, you can always start again and you can always reinvent yourself, which is what I am now doing. I am going to be teaching you in this series how to unlock your story, how to understand your gifts, and how to live your dream life despite trauma, despite loss, and despite labels. So I very much look forward to teaching you and helping you all to step into your dream life. See you soon.